This time of year, we feel a lot of pressure to be festive and energized. But for a lot of people, this time of year doesn't feel like that at all. Your energy drops, things slow down, and our culture treats that as a problem. In this video, I want to talk about why this quiet, low energy state is actually a necessary part of the cycle and one you may want to opt into this year.
Welcome to Chiron Art Therapy. I'm Maggie Colwell, an art therapist and Jungian. Here we explore archetypal images, personal symbolism in art and dreams, and what your psyche is trying to tell you. If you're ready to dive into your inner world, you're in the right place. Subscribe, and let's begin.
I dial things back between second week in December on through all of January as a way to listen to my own body's energy and do some resting, like some real resting. And our culture does not encourage resting. They don't encourage taking care of yourself, being less productive. There's the extreme of that is people that are proud for going to work sick. It's, oh, I'll make it through. I don't care that I'm sick. And I'm like, please stay away from me. Like, you're sick. You need to be in bed and I don't want to be around you. There's that piece of it too. The holiday season, the way it's set up in our culture, is a manic defense against the dark. What do I mean by that? It means, no, it's not dark. No, I don't feel like I have less energy. Let's eat tons of sugar, burn the candle at both ends, spend more money, go to parties, pretend we're all happy, pretend it's the happiest time of the year, and wear ourselves out a whole lot. See, I'm happy when you're dead tired. The season says it's hibernation season. The trees are asleep. There's a lot of animals that are asleep, and it's really cold. It's cold. It's dark. If we were farmers, there would be less to do, right? If we didn't have electricity all the time, when it got dark, you'd probably go to sleep. You may have a little few things to do, but it would be about resting. And there would be a balance between like literally what's going on in the environment and where you and your plans were. It was extremely cold this weekend in Ohio, like 7 degrees, like your face and your eyeballs hurt just walking outside. And that's not really the time to be traveling. It's the time to be staying home in the warm. So the manic defense part is saying, I'm not going to deal with maybe things are dark, maybe there's things to grieve, maybe I have lower energy, so I'm going to push past that and dig up this extra energy to pretend it's not happening. Our culture's allergic to grief. So there's that part too. And our culture values extroversion more than introversion. That you should want to be socializing and doing stuff all the time, and that doing things like thinking that take time and space and quiet, or processing things like that takes space, and that's not productive. It's been driving me crazy the last year listening to the news about getting rid of national holidays because of the productivity loss. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. Because the truth of the matter is, when you take time off, you are more productive in the time that you show up. So there's that piece of it too. That's not how humans work. We're not machines. Our ability to have productivity and attention and energy is not the same every day. And we shouldn't shame ourselves when it's not, and when we need space and time and rest. So there's that piece of it, is like the cultural piece that says do more. Let's end the fourth quarter strong. The other piece that I look at is astrological. Between November 21st and December 21st, you have Sagittarius. And that is based on the centaur, the archer. He was the teacher for most of the Greek heroes. And gregarious, vital, that's where we get this kind of party vibe from. But it can also be of making sense of the big picture. of being passionate and being able to connect with meaning. And that's the ride that everybody's on through December. But once December 21st-ish hits, we have a couple things going on. One, the sun shifts into Capricorn, which is the goatfish. It goes to the highest peaks and the lowest ocean. It's ruled by Saturn, so it's limits, endings, taking care of finances, budgeting, and put some limitations on it. And that's winter. It's the beginning of the solar cycle. The winter solstice is the shortest day and the longest night. If we are looking at other ways to look at that, it's also, if you are thinking about what I just said about the Capricorn goatfish, the goat can climb up to the top of the mountain and the fish dives all the way down to the depths of the ocean. After you've achieved something, gotten to that apex, the balancing point of that is the nadir. It's the lowest point in the valley. It's the deepest canyon in the deepest ocean. We think about the summer solstice as being the height of the sun's power. Then the winter solstice is the time for the midnight sun. So you've got those two balancing. If the summer solstice is noon, then the winter solstice is midnight. If we're looking at this from a moon cycle, and I'm excited about it this year because it lines up, the full moon is the height of the moon's power, the height of psychic energy. And then the dark moon, when you can't see the moon in the sky, that is the same idea as the winter solstice. I was thinking about this yesterday, and I used to work in psychiatric hospitals. And for anybody that's worked in hospitals, you make note of the full moon because things change. We are, 70% water? Therefore, the moon's tides affect us. And there were certain people that you would always see on a full moon in the psychiatric unit where I was working, and things would ramp up and people would be agitated and more energetic during the full moon. A lot of babies are born then. You think about that tide, that high tide bursting. So if you're paying attention to it, there is a huge rise of energy during the full moon. A lot of times big snowstorms happen during the full moon. So if we're looking at that, the other side of that cycle is the dark moon, where there is less psychic energy around. There's less just general energy to be had. So the dark moon is a time for rest, looking inward, contemplating what's the introversion cycle rather than paying attention to what's going on out in the world. This morning, I was looking at the waning crescent moon as I was walking my dog in the pitch black cold. And I'm excited because the dark moon and the winter solstice are going to align this year. So it's got that kind of like sun cycle and the moon cycle of like in harmony for this long night. So night consciousness is about the unconscious. It's about introversion. It's about intuition. This is why a lot of people have symptoms at night that they don't have during the day, where you go about your day and things are busy and there's people around and it's okay. But then in the evening, when it gets quieter or people go to bed or there's less to do and your energy's lower, that's when it feels like your emotions, feeling toned, images, our fantasies, our dreams, our complexes rise to the surface because the ego or sun consciousness has relaxed. So it's an invitation to turn inward. The energy of the nadir is also my favorite example in riding a bike. I spent a lot of time bike riding when I was younger, and anybody who's done a decent amount of road biking. Nothing's worse than starting from a dead stop at the bottom of a hill. You know, when you get to coast down the hill, then you get this little push that helps you up before you make the next descent. But when you're stopping from a dead stop and having to immediately go up that hill, there is so much energy you have to put into the system just to stay upright. And you don't feel like you have any momentum. It's just a slog. But let's think about that from like a human life cycle kind of perspective of starting anything that doesn't already have its own momentum. It's a slog. It seems really slow. It's just you have to keep on putting a lot of energy into it until you finally gain some momentum, and it always seems much, much longer. Learning something new. The biggest one I had in my life was I left my spiritual tradition, my husband, and I moved across the country all at the same time. It felt like there was no energy for anything. This dark place that's like sitting there going, okay, what's happened? What am I supposed to be doing? Like, why does the journey and cycle and normal rhythm of my life, why does everything just feel like it just came to a dead stop? And trying to decide, what direction do I need to go in? Who am I? There's really useful questions in this place of where have I been? Who will I be? What do I want to put energy into? What are my values? What the heck happened, and how do I make sure this doesn't happen again? Where you just have to sit and wait for a while until something starts to like germinate. Because there aren't any seeds germinating right now. They are cold. They're in the dark. They're doing their little rest thing. And many seeds can't germinate at all unless they get that cold before the next growth season. So some of that, what do they call it? Like an agitation or something? Striation? Is that it? Where they talk about like the seeds have to be like the ice and the dust and all that kind of has to rub them for a while through the cold for them to be able to burst open. And I think that's true of people too, of that we need that psychic process of the fallow season, of wintering, in order to be able to rearrange some things for a new chapter. Where is the intermission in our lives? Or that really long rest between pieces of music? That you need that reset before something else starts to rise up. This is not a popular topic because our culture says that's depression, avoid it. There's something wrong. But there's an idea that the darkness also is about pulling our energy in away from the world so that there can be an internal alchemical process, a reorientation, a rediscovery. We talk a lot about going into the depths to retrieve lost treasure. That there's something that has to be searched for, like in the dark with your feet or whatever. So that's the energy of what we're going into right now. And it's not bad. I'm a Capricorn, so it's a lot of people like, ooh, Saturn, like limits, death, restriction, money, containment's necessary. It's not mean, it's just reality. Jung believed that life begins at 40 and up until then you're just doing research. And that the second half of life is about introversion, about doing inner work, about introspection, about making sense and meaning of things. That the child rearing and the career building and finding your way in the world, it's less about that. And that reduction of energy in the outer world is best served for something that's internally creative. I think this concept of the winter solstice works in a whole bunch of different traditions. You think about all of the different traditions where the candle lighting is a part of it. That's definitely true in pagan, Christian, and Jewish tradition of lighting candles this time of year. That idea of holding vigil through the night, but that connection between what are you holding vigil for, or keeping that flame alive, or waiting for the sun to be reborn, or that promise of a new king. This cycle of the sun king being reborn this time of year is throughout a lot of different traditions. That promise of the new way. And that's what we're at as a culture too, where we're looking at old ways that don't work, old kings, and hoping for a new archetypal way that's going to work with the environment, for people, for new ideas as we adapt to technology. We all don't listen to one radio station and one news network anymore. Like, how do we adapt to having access to so much information all over the world and being an interconnected global society? That the new king also represents new archetypes coming up in new ways. So for me, that's where hope is. Because in our mythology and our histories, the new way does come up. People in the Middle Ages didn't know that they were in the Dark Ages. It was just life. And yet the Renaissance was there. And a whole new culture rose up. So what does it mean for us to also be, maybe this is a cultural dark night of the soul. Maybe it's a dark age. But the hope that a new way is going to come. That things can recycle and be reborn, and that we can all be a part of that internal consciousness change that will affect everyone around us, and they will affect everyone around them. It's that concept of the seed waiting for its time. It's hard, it's intense, but it's definitely worthwhile. That's where change is. That's where becoming more whole, balancing things that are zapping your energy. But sometimes we have to go to those kind of dark, still places to find it. I love how we're bringing up the Grinch, humbug, Scrooge. That's part of the seasonal balance of the archetype. It's part of all of it. I'm wishing everybody some rest, connection with yourself, maybe some good juicy dreams, that you're able to hold the containers you need to make the next season special for you.